When I walked out that night, I didn't look back. No suitcase. No long monologue. Just my wallet, my keys, and the last sliver of self-respect I had left. She stood in the doorway, arms crossed, laughing like it was all a joke. "You'll regret leaving me," she said, like it was a curse. Like her voice had the weight to break me. I didn't answer. I didn't have to, because I already knew something she didn't. Regret is a weapon you give to someone when you believe they still hold power over you. And her power was gone the moment I saw the second phone. She kept it in her makeup drawer. Sloppy. Arrogant. Maybe she thought I wouldn't notice the late showers, the way she angled the screen when she texted, the passwords changed overnight. I didn't accuse her. I didn't rage. I waited. A week before I left, I cloned that phone. Every message, every call, every photo. I read them all. "Leaving him soon," she wrote to someone saved only as D. "Playing it slow. He still thinks we're good. So dumb." D replied, "Don't rush. Milk him dry first." She laughed at that. In text form. LOL. I sat in the dark that night, scrolling through her betrayals. It wasn't the cheating that wrecked me. It was the contempt. The certainty that I was just another name she could bleed dry and discard. But I didn't confront her. That would have been emotional. And I wasn't emotional anymore. I was surgical. First, I rewrote my will. Quietly. Next, I pulled out of the joint accounts. Left just enough in to keep her from noticing. I moved the bulk into a trust. Irrevocable. Protected. Then I met with my attorney. Told him I wanted everything ready. An exit plan, airtight. No theatrics. No last-minute arguments. Just a clean, sudden vanishing act. So that night, when she laughed and told me I'd regret it, I didn't flinch. I closed the door behind me, locked it from the outside, and walked into the cold. I moved across town. New number. New place. She tried calling the next day. Over and over. The voicemails ranged from confusion to fury. "Call me back. What are you doing? Are you seriously acting like a child right now? And finally, you'll regret this. You'll see." She sounded scared by the end of the third day. Not because she missed me, but because her safety net had snapped. Then the real messages started to pour in. Friends. Family. Her friends. Her family. All fed her version of the story. I was unstable. I bailed. Mid-argument. No warning. Poor her. I didn't respond. Not once. Because I had the texts. I had every LOL she typed while mocking my job, my family, my worth. I had every plan she made with D to gut me and walk away with a smile. I stored them, sorted them, archived them by date and category. Not for revenge, not yet. For control. For leverage. For clarity. You don't strike when you're angry. You strike when they think they've won. 2 weeks later, she showed up at my office. Security called up. "There's a woman here saying she's your wife." Ex-wife, I corrected. We weren't legally separated yet. But emotionally, spiritually, strategically, I was gone. I had the front desk tell her I was unavailable. I watched her on the cameras as she paced the lobby, confused, trying to call me again. She looked desperate. Not broken, not yet, but unraveling. Just a little. That was good. That meant she'd make mistakes. Sure enough, later that night, I got an email from her lawyer, demanding reconciliation. Not a divorce, mind you, reconciliation. She wanted mediation, discussion, translation. She realized I had pulled the plug without warning, and she wanted to slow the bleeding. I forwarded the email to my attorney with one line. Prepare to move forward. No emotion. No commentary. Just motion. Then came the cafe. I knew she'd be there. I planned for it. It was a spot we used to frequent. Upscale. Trendy. The kind of place she loved to be seen in. I reserved a table by the window, made sure my name was on the reservation, my new name, post-legal change. And I brought someone with me. Her name was Lena, corporate attorney. Sharp. Gorgeous. 10 years younger than my wife. And, more importantly, completely clean of drama. She didn't know the full story, just the parts one allowed. She didn't need to. She played the role perfectly. As we sat down, I saw my ex walking by the window. She was dressed like she expected to run into someone. Hair done. Expensive bag. No surprise. She spotted me instantly. And froze. Her mouth opened. Then closed. Her eyes flicked to Lena. Back to me. And I watched it hit her, like a switch flipping. I didn't smile. I didn't nod. I just met her eyes, then looked away, as if she were no more than a stranger passing by. She didn't come in. She couldn't. Because at that moment, for the first time since I left, she knew. I wasn't regretting a damn thing. The moment she saw me with Lena, she vanished. Not out of fear, out of strategy. She knew she couldn't win a public scene. Not when I looked calm and she looked rattled. The moment was hers to lose, and she lost it without saying a word. But I knew her well enough to expect the counterstrike. Sure enough, 2 days later, a message came through from her lawyer again. This time, it wasn't polite. It was a list of demands: joint asset review, spousal support, claims of emotional abandonment. She'd rebranded my silence as abuse. I didn't respond directly. I handed everything to my legal team. But before they replied, I sent one thing through: a digital folder titled Mirror. Inside it were copies of every message I'd pulled from her second phone. Her texts to D, the financial trails of money moved from our accounts to fund trips I didn't take, lingerie I never saw, hotel reservations I didn't make. All time-stamped. All neat. Her lawyer backed off the next day. No more demands. Just silence. But I wasn't done. Her mistake wasn't just cheating. It was betting against me, assuming I'd fold quietly, that I was too weak to move without her. She always mistook patience for passivity. That's what made her sloppy. While she spent the weeks after our cafe run trying to contain the damage, I was building something else. A presentation. Not for court, but for influence. I gathered every receipt, every transaction she'd made under my name, every misuse of shared funds for personal affairs. I wasn't looking to ruin her financially. She'd already done that. I was going to ruin her credibility. 2 months before we split, she'd been negotiating a partnership with a mid-tier fashion brand, a move she thought would boost her boutique into a national spotlight. I knew the founder, Ian Marcus. We'd met at a startup mixer years ago, before she ever learned his name. I reached out, requested a lunch meeting, told him I had something he needed to see before signing with her. He looked through the file I handed him in stunned silence. When he was done, he simply asked, "Why give me this?" I answered without blinking. "Because you're about to invest in someone who builds sandcastles on other people's foundations. That's bad for business." He nodded. The deal died a week later. Her boutique took the hit. Publicly, she blamed the market. Privately, she spiraled. "I know because mutuals started messaging me. She's not doing well. Maybe you should talk to her. She's saying you ghosted without reason." I ignored them. Sent each one a polite reply. "I wish her well." Then I blocked them. One night, Lena and I were leaving a late dinner when I saw her. Standing by her car, alone, staring at the curb like she expected the pavement to give her an answer. She saw me. This time, she didn't walk away. "Can we talk?" she asked, voice softer than I remembered. I nodded, gestured toward a nearby bench. Lena didn't ask questions. She just kissed my cheek and said she'd wait by the car. My ex sat next to me, but kept a full seat of space between us. She didn't cry. That wasn't her style. "I didn't think you'd actually go," she said finally. "You always stayed. No matter what." "I did," I agreed. Silence. "I know I messed up," she added, like it was a small confession. "Messed up?" I tilted my head. "You planned it. You laughed about it. You called me stupid while sleeping in my bed." She looked down. "I thought I could fix it before you found out. You weren't trying to fix anything. You were trying to finish draining me before the next phase." She didn't deny it. That was her tell. Silence. "You remember what you said when I left?" I asked. She nodded. "You'll regret leaving me." I leaned in slightly. "I don't." That broke her. Not in tears. In posture. Her shoulders sank like a puppet with its strings cut. "You're really done," she whispered. I stood. I was done the moment you underestimated me. A week later, the divorce was finalized. She got nothing outside of what she'd entered with. Her name, her clothes, her boutique, now losing money by the day. But that's when the final move happened. The one she didn't see coming. She'd tried to rebrand herself as the victim. Public posts, carefully crafted Instagram captions, sad selfies, vague mentions of betrayal. One of those posts caught fire. Sympathy poured in. She leveraged it into a small investor group who believed in her story, believed in her recovery arc, believed she could turn things around. They offered her a lifeline, a shared ownership deal with enough capital to save the boutique. She accepted, praised them online, credited the strength that comes from hitting rock bottom. But here's the part that mattered. The investor group? One of their shadow partners? Me. I bought in quietly through a holding company. Sat silent through every meeting. Watched every number. Let her believe she was rebuilding. Then I watched her mismanage it all over again. Lavish renovations. Risky orders. Staff hired based on friendship instead of skill. 3 months in, the board had the votes. She was out. Publicly, she blamed them for betrayal. But this time, no one listened. The sympathy well had dried. The public has a short memory, but even they catch on eventually. She tried to reach out one last time. Texted me. Please. We can still fix this. I left it unread. The final chapter didn't end with court dates or public disgrace. It ended in a chair across from me, 1 year to the day after I left, in the same cafe where she first saw Lena. She didn't look like herself. The glamour was gone. No designer bag, no curated outfit. Just a black coat. Plain, like she hadn't planned to be seen. But she had. She always planned. I got the message through a mutual acquaintance. She just wants closure. 30 minutes. Closure was a word people like her used when they realized they had no more leverage. It was a request for mercy disguised as conversation. I agreed. Not for her. For me. She arrived first. I walked in 10 minutes late on purpose. She stood when I approached. I didn't offer a hug. I didn't sit until she did. Thank you, she said quietly. I nodded. A waitress came. I ordered black coffee. She asked for tea, then changed her mind, then settled on water. Control. Slipping. She took a breath. I've lost a lot this year. Sounds like it. Her eyes flicked up. I know I can't undo it. What I did. I stayed silent. She continued. But it wasn't all fake. What we had. Not in the beginning. I didn't answer that either. It got away from me. The money, the attention. I thought you'd always be there to catch the fallout. And when I wasn't. She flinched. It fell faster than I expected. I watched her for a moment. Not as a man who used to love her. Not anymore. As an analyst would observe a broken system. Tracing the flaw, recognizing the pattern. You didn't come here for closure, I said. You came for absolution. Tears welled, but they didn't fall. She'd learned how to hold them just long enough to keep control of the narrative. No, she said, voice cracking. I came because I need you to know that I regret it. Everything. There it was, the sentence she once thought she'd never say. The one she promised I'd be the one choking on. But it didn't land the way she expected. Because regret, once spoken too late, doesn't mend anything. It just confirms what the betrayed already knew. They were right to leave. I stood. That's what you came to say? She looked up, searching my face for a signal. Anything, even hate. Do you ever think about what we had? She asked. I paused. Not out of emotion, out of calculation. I think about what I learned from it, I said, and how much more dangerous I am now than I ever was then. Her lip quivered. I leaned down slightly. You didn't just lose me. You built the man who doesn't need to forgive you. Then I walked out. Lena and I didn't last. That's not the twist. We weren't meant to. She was part of the reset. A beautiful, sharp, necessary reminder that I could attract, connect, rebuild. But I wasn't looking to fall again. Not then. What I was looking for, and what I found, was autonomy. Power. Clean separation from the wreckage I used to live in. My ex tried to rebuild. Went solo on another boutique. Smaller this time, crowdfunded. But the trust wasn't there. The whispers followed her like smoke. Investors stayed distant. Customers chose others. Within months, she pivoted to coaching. Then blogging. None of it stuck. A year later, I got a notification. She'd filed for bankruptcy. I didn't react. I didn't celebrate. Some defeats don't need gloating. They speak for themselves. I now sit on the board of 2 major startups. I consult privately for high-net-worth clients who trust discretion over flash. My income tripled, my circle shrunk, and I learned to invest only in things that compound quietly. Trust, time, precision. People who knew me before barely recognize me now. Not because I changed. Because I stopped diluting myself for others who never deserved the full version of me. And sometimes, just sometimes, I walk past that cafe. Not to gloat, not to reminisce, but to remind myself what it looked like, that exact moment, when someone realized their power had expired. She said I'd regret leaving her. What she never considered was how little there would be left to miss.